Hi everyone, I'm here in my car just waiting for my husband. He's gonna come fill up the air on my tire before I have to do a few errands. So daily life continues, and while I'm waiting for him, I thought I would answer a question that came in through email. So if you've asked this question, I'm answering it here, but I'll also email you as well. So the question, and the reason why I want to answer it on camera is I think it's a good question to share with everyone that may have, you know, this similar question in their mind. So the question is, and let me go ahead and just pull up my email. I have another phone down here. Let's see. It says something he's been pondering regarding spirituality in general. Are the practices and rituals such as those supposedly come from Knights of Templar, the Golden Dawn, and other mystical practices or religions such as Judaism having the Kabbalah, or the Sufis inside Islam? Do you believe that all of that is part of the dream? Or what about the results of such practices? Energetic shifts and manifestations that occur. Also below to the realm of the dream. So I will answer the question to the best of my understanding of what the question is asking. So I don't know Knights Templar. I know what they are. I don't know their, what they do. I heard of them. I do not know the Golden Dawn. I will definitely look into all of these, but regardless of what they are, whether it's Judaism, Kabbalah, he mentioned Sufis or Christianity or any of that stuff, that is all within the dream. So everything that is religion is within the dream, because everything that's happening is in the dream. Everything that's happening in your life, in my life, anything that we're aware of that's happening is part of that dream. It's part of that illusion, okay? If we remove ourselves back before the dreamer ever dreamt, what is there? There's just the one. There's just, let's think of it as imagination. Somebody that's imagining something, somebody that's dreaming something, the dreamer, I guess, or the person that imagines. And this is not a person. This is what it is already. It's not something separate. I'm just trying to make a metaphor so that it's easier to understand. But what I'm speaking of is all inclusive. It's all one. So if we remove ourselves back to before, like if you are a Christian, before Genesis, before the beginning, or let's say before the Big Bang, if that's what you think of as the start of this universe. So before that, there is just the one. So everything else that comes from that, and it doesn't actually come from that, it is that. It's that imagining that. It's that dreaming that. It's that experiencing that. It's that knowing itself as that. So it is that. That is just one. So if it is just one, if we remove the whole dream and illusion, there is no religion, nothing, because if there is one, who would there be to worship? Who would there be to pray to? There is no one. There's no one at all. And the one is everything and nothing. So it is nothing to be a spiritual practice or to have a spiritual practice. There is no one to have a spiritual practice. And in all of these bodies that you see around you that are supposedly doing these spiritual practices, that is all an illusion. They're actually not doing a spiritual practice. They may seem like they're doing it here, but essentially it's all an illusion and no one's doing it. So even if you see the person and you can feel the person, they're there, they're praying, or they're doing whatever it is that is the spiritual practice, you physically can see them and all that, but the truth of reality is that's actually not even happening. Okay, that's not even anything. But regardless of that, if you just want to conceptualize it, if there is just the one or the nothing arising as everything, it can't, there's nothing to worship, there's nothing to practice. So essentially what I'm saying here is when you see that there's no self, so there's no self here, and that's the same for you, anybody that's watching, there is no self. If there is no self, what is there? Who would be worshiping, and what would they worship? So let's say like Jesus, let's say like, well, in Islam, they just pray to God. But, you know, any of these religions, whoever it is that they're worshiping, that is in the dream, okay? God is something, you could say. But what I'm speaking of really doesn't have a name, so some people may call it source, energy, love, God. I do like to see it as God, because I have also experienced other awakenings with the non-duality. I've had 3, and 2 of those were very much full of love. And so for me, the truth, the absolute truth of what reality is and love are the same. They're basically 2 sides of one coin. So when I see how much love there is in what truth is, I have to associate that with the greatest word that I know of that is all love, and that to me is God. So I use that word, but it is not a God to pray to. It is not a God to worship. It is not a God to practice. It is not a God that's up in the sky. It's not a God that's separate from me. This is God. This is God. You are God. This phone is God. Everything you see is God. It's God exploring itself in all these different infinite manifestations that it possibly could be. And, you know, that is everything. Everything you see. This fingernail with all the little ridges, everything is God expressing and knowing itself. And it is only one. It's one. Everything and nothing. And that one can't, the one, there's no purpose for the one to worship or do anything. When we feel like we are a person, when we haven't had this realization, we feel separate. And from that separateness, we want to worship what we think is separate from us, which is God. But God is actually already within us, part of us. It is us. It's everything. It's the dog, it's the cat, it's the cow, it's everything you see. So there is no more practices when this is seen. When this is seen, there is no religions at all that you would ever follow. There is no practice you would ever follow. There is no prayer you would ever pray, because you already are it. You already are what God is. And so all of these religions that were listed, they are not anything to be really doing if you've had this seeing. If you haven't had this seeing, then it is very possible that you are in one of these religions. Islam, Judaism, I don't know, Golden Dawn, all of those. And, you know, there is absolutely nothing wrong with being in those religions if that's what you want to do. There is nothing wrong if you want to practice a religion. If I wanted to practice a religion now, I could. It just doesn't resonate or make any sense to me. But if I wanted to, I could. I do actually enjoy reading verses and things like that. But I see them in a different way now. I see, and I kind of pick and choose the ones that point towards non-duality. But it's not anything that I worship or practice. Let me see, the rest of the question is, do you believe that that is all part of the dream? Yes. What about the results of such practices? Okay, so the results of such practices, I'm not sure on those religions, so I can't speak on them, but I will say, like, I don't really know Sufism, but I have heard some, and it does seem that it could bring you to a self-realization of some kind. There is different types of awakenings and self-realizations, but essentially you are already a no self. You are already it, just how you are. So you don't need the religion to get there. You already are there. It's just a little confusion in the mind that's making us feel that we are not it. But if you have a result as far as following one of these religions, that's great. That's how it went for you. For me, it was a twin flame journey, and I didn't even know I was on it or that was going to happen. So there's no telling how you will realize this. You may just realize this watching this video. You know, it could be anything. I realized something I didn't even know could be realized or was even an option just by falling in love, by having an intense love relationship that was shown to me. And you will hear from some other speakers and people stories that are just as simple as just walking down the street, you know. And so they didn't really necessarily follow some religious practice. So religious practice will not necessarily get you to a self-realization of no self. But if you like that, if that resonates with you, if you are part of one of these and you see that, okay, maybe this is, you know, in line with non-duality, and you like that, you want to continue with that, you resonate, I say go all for it. Go all for it. There's absolutely no wrong thing at all. There's nothing you could do wrong at all. So be free to do whatever you want. And you know, you hadn't had this realization and you're wanting to, I'm not going to suggest that you keep seeking, but if that's what's occurring for you, there's nothing wrong with that. Go ahead and do it. Do what you want. Do whatever you want to do in this life. Let me see if I missed any part of the question. Energetic shifts and manifestations may occur. Yeah, they could occur due to following some of these spiritual practices. I've heard people having energy shifts and things like that with yoga or meditation, which is something I'm not familiar with and I've never had happen, so I can't speak on that. But yeah, in the dream, anything and everything can occur. Well, thank you for watching.